102 FM. Game On's Fantasy Football.
Yes, the girl said it right. It is Game On's Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Game Week 18. Ho, ho, ho. Hope we got lots of nice things from Santa Claus. Or if it's before Christmas, we hope you do get lots of nice things from Santa Claus. More so, we hope you get lots of fantasy football points. That's what this pod is about.
All I want for Christmas.
And all he wants for Christmas is a microphone. Now you shall have one, Phil. Speak, and everyone shall hear you. I go on.
No.
Like a bold child. No. Right. He is here, and he might get a bag of coal if that attitude doesn't change.
That'll be an improvement on last year.
Yeah. We will find out who is on Phil's list. Hey. And who's on Paul's list in a minute. Paul Caffrey also joins us from London. How are you, Paul? Happy Christmas.
I'm fantastic. Merry Christmas to you and yours.
And many happy returns to both of you and your families. Thank you to them for sacrificing you and your time for the pod. I know, yeah. Didn't want to say that. Right. Let us crack on with
it's true.
Game Week 18. Now we're recording this. Game Week 17 hasn't really finished yet. In fact, it hasn't really begun, but we're getting all the Christmas pods out of the way.
Christmas, it's it's a busy time of year.
Indeed.
We didn't want a podcast on Christmas Day.
We didn't. No, it's true.
Let's be honest, we wouldn't have got into the studio.
No, we wouldn't have. Wouldn't get out of the house. Anyway, we will crack on with Game Week 18. The three focused games. It's not going to be too difficult. Phil?
Well, I suppose the immediate fixture that draws the eye straight away has to be City and Liverpool. City at home this season have been in awesome form. I think they've now racked up 35 goals in 8 home games, if my math is correct. Liverpool on the road, I mean, we don't have to go back too far. Putting 5 past Spurs at White Hart Lane, I'll kind of tell you that they're not afraid to travel and still put in a performance even without Steven Gerrard. Aguero's still out for City, and Negredo is the man that's probably going to be leading the line again for City, and you'd have to fancy him to do well. And this one, Silva and Yaya Toure, again, it very much is kind of the main contenders here, the usual suspects for City. You're looking at Silva, you're looking at Yaya Toure, and Negredo is one that's going to sneak in there. Liverpool side of things, it's Suarez all day, every day. Thank you very much.
And steer clear of everything else. Paul?
Yeah, I don't fancy clean sheets in that.
No, I don't think so. Well, the way the two teams are set up, unlikely.
Yeah, well, I'd agree with you. Manchester City, absolutely. I think they could get a clean sheet as well. They may keep Liverpool quiet, but look, we'll see what happens the 26th.
It is. It's a tough little Boxing Day's present for both teams. A 5:30 start
Depends how much
there.
Christmas dinner Suarez eats. He could be a bit slow and sluggish.
It's the late kickoff on the 26th on Stephen's Day / Boxing Day, depending on what country you're in. Right, let us go to the second of the featured games in Game Week 18. Paul has news of that.
Yeah, I particularly like the look of Everton and Sunderland. Look, we spoke a lot about Everton over on the podcast in the last couple of weeks. I mean, they're currently, at the time of recording, they're sitting in 5th place. There's a very realistic opportunity to break into top 4 at the end of the season. Obviously, Sunderland are cast adrift. Things just don't seem to be going their way, and they do have a cup run, which is kind of, they're in the semi-finals now, which is a bit of some will say it's a welcome distraction, others will say it's inhibiting their league form. But that aside, you have to be looking at this, and you have to simply be fancying a lot of points for Everton. I'd be very much looking at defensive. Obviously, a lot of people love Coleman. I think he's absolutely nailed on. You need to have him in your team. Also, I suppose a knock on Tim Howard is a very good defensive keeper to have in goal. And, the jury is still out on Lukaku. I have him in my team. I watch his performances and he frustrates me, then he does pop up with the fantasy point. And that would be the way I'd be looking. Obviously, Sunderland, they are going to turn a corner. Sunderland need one big win in the Premier League for them to actually, I suppose, to be considered. And then it's a case, when that actually happens, I mean, Giaccherini, a very, very talented player. We've seen Barini, I think he's a bit too hit and miss for me, but he is popping up with the odd goal. And then on that side of things, then you will make an argument for bringing in the West Brown when that comes round. But this game week, in this matchup, it's going to be Everton all the way for myself.
Does anyone have Stephen Fletcher on their watch list, or are people even aware that he's coming back in and he is fit again? He could be an interesting one. He's on my watch list. The minute I knew he was coming back, I have just stuck him on the watch list because he could be the one to make a difference if Sunderland are going to do what they have to do to get off that bottom place. As you said, Altidore hasn't really done it. I think Barini could be a good player, Paul. I think he needs a little bit more time. He needs a little more consistency on the pitch. But I think if he was playing with a player like Fletcher, with a little bit more, Altidore just doesn't look sophisticated enough, I think, for the Premier League at this level. Phil, what do you think?
Not much, to be honest.
Gus Boyd, you have to admire the way he's reorganised the team and the squad.
Listen, they're playing better football. I think the strength of character they showed in the Carling Cup to come back and beat Chelsea kind of is testament to that. But fantasy points wise for me at the moment, I think Paul's right. This one is all about Everton. Sunderland could nick a goal, but I'm not. I wouldn't be putting my house on it. And yeah, you've got to look to the toughies. I think Paul's right. Coleman's a must-have, and kind of almost Howard comes in there as well, given the amount of clean sheets that Everton have kept at home this season. Delafeu was still out injured, so we're not going to see him. I'm a little frustrated again. Morelos isn't getting as much game time as I'd like, because I do genuinely feel if he was a nailed-on starter, he'd be in my team.
Do we need to ring Roberto now?
He won't return my calls anymore.
Oh,
Well,
I was after Wigan. You can't blame him.
Yeah, listen, Dave Whelan, I only went for coffee with Dave Whelan. There was nothing in it, like. But yeah, Morelos for me is one. If he's going to start, he's one you have to consider. And as is Barkley, there's plenty of options there in the Everton lineup. Lukaku, Paul's right. The jury is. I know he scored. He has scored 8 goals so far this season and picked up 4 assists, but you just want that little bit more from him, Paul, don't you? Rather than
you do, considering his assist was crap last weekend as well. It wasn't like a footballing assist. He just was in the right area and it didn't go right for him and it bounced off him. I mean, his assist against United again, it was a mishit shot that just fell to Oviedo. So yeah, he does pop up with these good, very, very good goals, but I don't know, it doesn't seem the total package. But look, I have him at the moment. I will be debating whether to keep him or not. I probably will keep him up until this fixture and review it again, I suppose, the day after. The game weeks are coming so fast at the moment.
Yeah, they certainly are. But yeah, it's Everton all over this one.
All right, third focus game is
Hull and United.
Okay, I thought you might go over Chelsea and Swansea, but no,
because I'm not overly convinced by Swansea, and I think with Chelsea they don't have strikers. It's Terry at the back, and it's Hazard in the midfield or Oscar, depending on which way you're swayed, and that's pretty much it for me there. But Hull have a very impressive record at home. I think they've only conceded 3 goals, something ridiculous like that. But United on the road have been scoring plenty. I think they've scored double the amount of goals away from home.
And on the football field as well.
Yes. That is what I meant.
Oh, sorry.
Sure. But they've scored double the amount of goals away from home than they have at home. And I think you'd have to be looking at United. I think Welbeck is certainly coming into the reckoning now and has to be kind of had a look at. Valencia, we spoke about last week, is one to certainly consider. And at the back, I mean, it's Johnny Evans is probably your best bet there, cheapest option, I suppose, really into the United defence for a clean sheet.
Are you going to avoid Hull if you have a Hull player?
Yeah, they're squad players, and this is very much the time for me where they will sink into the benches. The one player that's starting to come on, and I'm starting to more and more like the look of, is El Mohammadi. He is, with the system that Steve Bruce is playing, he is getting forward a hell of a lot more. He picked up an assist in game week 15 against Swansea. Probably should have had a goal in game week 16 against Stoke, only for he fluffed his lines.
But he'll do that.
Yeah, well, that's why he's a defender, Well, he's a mid-class as a midfielder, but he is a defender. But yeah, I like the look at him at 4.9. Robbie Brady was one that kicked off the season in great style. having picked up 3 goals in the first 6 weeks, but since then has done absolutely nothing, and has had his game time curtailed. Now largely that's due to the hernia op that he had to undergo, but unless he starts getting regular game time again, I wouldn't really be looking too far after that.
Alright, let us go for best of the rest. Right, Aston Villa and Crystal Palace. Now obviously we don't have the advantage of having seen Game Week 17 because it hasn't happened yet, so obviously we're not quite up to date in current form, but Aston Villa and Crystal Palace, we've spoken about Palace's renewal under Tony Pulis. Aston Villa haven't had the best of times in recent weeks, Phil.
No, Paul Lambert's my next man for the chopping board.
Yeah?
Yep.
Chris Hughton will be delighted.
That's not Christmas spirit, man. You can't be sacking all the guys.
Sorry, I just listen.
It's the wrong sack. It's the wrong sack here.
2008 all over again. You know, 2008. You talk bad about a lot of managers. A lot of them got the sack. It's happening again.
Sorry, listen, I can't help it. I'm just like looking at Villa's fixtures. I mean, like Andrew said, obviously we haven't had the chance to see how Game Week 17 panned out against Stoke yet. But I mean, Palace in Game Week 18, Swansea then next week in 19, and Sunderland in 20. I genuinely feel that if Villa don't pick up results in those couple of games,
in all fairness, now they're just outside the top 10. As in fact, for this week, if they get a win in Game Week 17, they could be within the top 10.
Well, I think if they don't pick up points, I think by the time Arsenal come around early January, I think Lambert could be gone. But anyway, in terms of fantasy points in this one, for me, I'll be looking to Palace. I think Shamak is thereabouts and ridiculously cheap. You know, he's got to be. You got to at least give it a thought.
For the price, for the quality and the level he was playing at in France before Arsenal bought him those years ago. I mean, he really was that striker that they were all looking at.
I seen an interview recently with Tony Pulis, you know, and he was speaking about Chamakh, and he said, listen, Arsene Wenger doesn't sign lads who can't play. This guy is a player. He just hasn't been able to prove it. You know, and there's merit to that, obviously. You know, Arsene Wenger isn't going to knowingly go out and buy a dud. You know, so it just didn't work out for him at Arsenal, but maybe Palace is the right place for him.
Just giving Paul a little bit of space there to come in with a dud. Bentner, I'm sorry. Right, Paul, let us. Any duds, by the way?
No, I think Bentner might make it into the tips, though.
He's a bit as close to a dud as Wenger has probably gone there. Let's leave Wenger's duds to Wenger. Let us move on then. It's Cardiff City, Southampton. I've got a few Cardiff City players. I'm quite happy. They're a very well organised team.
Play your Cardiff City players. You know, look, I'd fancy them to potentially get a clean sheet in this game. As regards, I mean, if you're looking for goal scoring threat, I mean, the goals are really spread across the team. Fraser Campbell, I suppose, he seems to score when the games are televised. So he scored against Man United and Manchester City. He hasn't really scored in any other games. Then he's got, I suppose, much in midfield. He's got a couple as well. But yeah, look, best fantasy value is to play one of your Cardiff City defenders, and that's all I'd really be looking at. Wouldn't be looking to bring in any Southampton players for this fixture in particular. Chelsea and Swansea, I thought it might make the 3 focus games. You'd have to expect Jose's Chelsea to beat Swansea at home, Paul. You absolutely would. I mean, we might see a bit of revenge for their Carling Cup exit in the semi-final last season at the hands of Swansea. I mean, really, it's going to be play what Chelsea players that you can afford to get in your team. So I would be also tipping them for a clean sheet. So then maybe looking at the likes of, I suppose, your John Terry's, funny enough. And then, look, if you can get a Chelsea midfielder, go for it. They're priced by value, and it's kind of also reflective of their form. So obviously Hazard is at the top end, and he's got kind of Ramirez and Schürrle at the bottom end, and then Oscar, I mean, he kind of goes without saying, he's absolutely fair. Probably maybe a bit of a luxury, but somebody that I'd probably pick Hazard first and Oscar second if I was looking at picking a Chelsea midfielder. Alright, let's move on to St James's Park. Newcastle United at home to Stoke City. Stoke have been in good form, but Newcastle have been in great form recently. Well organised, disciplined, good defence, good midfield, and the strikers, one of the strikers anyway, in form per game.
And the other one's a nice fella. Did you see recently Cisse basically had a barbecue in his house and just invited the supporters up.
Very good.
Had a barbecue. The younger
Papa
lads
Cisse.
the younger lads got to play FIFA with him, and then he gave them all replica shorts and had a kickabout in the front garden with him.
Good man.
Now, of course, his front garden would be 10 times bigger than ours, but
Indeed.
a couple of acres
And the rest.
just a little something.
Anyway,
But, yeah,
good man. I
Newcastle.
wonder, is he good cook? Good man on the Barbie?
I'd say it's someone doing it for him, but
You wouldn't know.
Was he apologising for his poor form? Please keep me at the club, wasn't it?
I don't know. But listen, the supporters seem more than happy to accept his hospitality.
Well, listen, nice guy.
Yeah,
Don't always win, but get extra points
for trying. But yeah, I mean, you're right. Newcastle in this one, Kabaye.
Don't back Cisse, back Gouffran and Remy.
Yeah,
Hold back Cisse. He's good man for a barbecue.
Good man for a burger, not for the points.
yeah. Kabaye in this one is one to have a look at. And Gouffran at home has been in good form. It's a pity his form hasn't really translated away from home. But as we've alluded to in previous podcasts, he's suited better to the way Newcastle play at home, and certainly be one to look at in this one. And then if Remy's a streaky player, we can get a goal or two out, and we'll see another run from him, and he'll be back on top of the list of strikers to consider. For Stoke, yeah, it's there or thereabouts. I mean, their defence is going to be, you have to. They're a lot more solid than they had been towards the back end of last season. Now,
I think up front we probably have to keep watching them because they haven't really settled down into a pattern up front.
There's no main
in the midfield.
standout.
Yeah.
I mean, Crouch is popping up with a couple of assists, but I can't think of too many managers. In fact, I looked at Peter Crouch's team. He doesn't even have himself in it.
Stephen Ireland is a great price. He's playing quite forward when he's on. He's quite forward up the pitch a bit.
He's been playing.
That's his
he's
nature.
been nearly put in behind Crouch, playing off the striker, which isn't bad. He has the potential for turns, cheap price, good squad player. It looks like he's going to get the run out every week. So you're going to, he fits the criteria of having a squad player there that's guaranteed to get you 90 minutes, and it could do well. I think if he can
Keep
get
an
a
eye
run,
on him.
if he can get a run under his belt, we could see his price rise.
All right. Norwich Fulham doesn't strike me too much.
I think Gary Hooper will get a goal or two on this one. Fulham still aren't firing. Yeah, there's not much else.
All right. And Paul, let's go to Spurs and West Brom. Difficult to know, of course, everything changing at Spurs.
Do you reckon the teams will actually they'll know to show up because they've no manager, Yeah, who's going to tell them they actually have a game and get the boots ready?
Oh, well,
and
Tim
do all
Sherwood,
that? No, man. Both teams aren't going to show up here. In all seriousness, I
maybe Santa Claus will have brought a new manager for both clubs on Christmas Day. I don't know how you get Martin Yole down a chimney, but you never know. Nice picture.
No, not an image I need. I really don't.
I'm glad I don't have a chimney here, to be honest. Yeah, I think there's going to be goals for Tottenham. And again, look, you will know how the team is lining up a bit more when we've kind of seen a game or two under Sherwood and co. That's the side I'd be looking. I mean, West Brom, there wasn't a whole lot going wrong. I think sacking Steve Clark was probably a foolish and a bit of a naive could prove to be a big mistake towards the end of the season. But having said that, yeah, look, I'd have a Tottenham player in there. Which one? Look, it's probably a little bit difficult to say at this point, but we'll know very quickly. Come back to fantasypremierleaguetransfers.com. By the time you're considering what you're doing for this game week, we'll have a lot of information on the site as to which Tottenham players that you need to be bringing in. I
think the site should probably get a good few mentions now because of all of the changes that are going to be happening over Christmas and the proximity of the game weeks to each other. That fantasypremierleaguetransfers.com is going to be vital looking between all these game weeks for all that last minute team news and
it will be last minute because of the short time between deadlines, so it's keep a constant check, keep an eye on the Twitter account at Fantasy Prem Tips or the Facebook page FPL Transfers. It's facebook.com FPL Transfers, and just to try and keep up to date. But we'll be spinning out as much news as we can.
I think
when we get it.
The biggest thing is to sign up for the email alert. Basically, we send out an email alert and it has all of the tips and latest news in it just before game weeks kick off. So that way you don't miss out.
We'll make sure you don't miss it.
Great stuff. All right, fantasypremierleaguetransfers.com. All the details are there. West Ham and Arsenal, all London tie. You just can't see West Ham scoring too many goals these days, and Arsenal you can't see stop scoring.
Yeah,
even when they lose they score.
Yeah, I think the Gunners for a clean sheet and this one is worth a look. Mertesacker obviously has that added bonus of being able to get you a goal. It's Ozil, it's Ramsey, it's Giroud.
Yeah, it's whoever you have.
Well, Walcott now also comes into that as well. I am genuinely tempted, but
Who would you sell?
I'd probably sell Ramsey and keep Ozil.
I think you should definitely do it. Go on, hit the transfer button now.
Go on.
Look at him. He's trying to double bluff me. He knows that's a good move, and he's trying to put me off.
I'm not only. Yeah, you probably. I suppose for listeners, I've fallen a little bit behind Phil now, so I'm playing catch up, which is never a nice thing to have to do. So make that transfer, yeah.
No, that'll be my Christmas present to you.
All right. Free advice here as well. All right. Let's interrupt the brotherly love slightly and get some captain's picks. Right, captain's picks from this one. Methinks Man City, methinks Everton.
It's a tough one.
It is.
I mean, we said this in game week 16 when City were playing Arsenal and Liverpool were playing Spurs. We said kind of it was a tough call. Aguero, Suarez had been the mainstays, and we were unsure. Aguero got a goal but went off injured, but Suarez was fantastic. Played a part in all 5 goals that day. Can we see him do something similar at the Etihad? I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure.
He will not be playing a part in 5 goals, that is for sure.
Captain for me in this one, I'm struggling with. I really, really am. Based on
me to go first to help you out?
Yeah, go on. No, go on. Go ahead. Go ahead.
If I had to pick a captain for this game week at this very moment, I'm between 2 players. One is Alvaro Negredo, and the second is Seamus Coleman. And I will be leaning more towards Seamus Coleman at the minute. So that's where my head is at right now. But it's either goals from City or a clean sheet with attacking points for Coleman, and then he always gets a nice few bonus when that happens as well.
That didn't really help me.
Paul, look out your window for a second. Just see there.
Oh yeah, what's that now?
Can you hear something?
Oh.
Must be right outside. Who is that?
God. It's Roy Keane and that reindeer.
It's Roy's return. Brilliant. Yeah, that still doesn't help me. I don't know. Listen, Paul's Coleman shout is inspired. I think, that could be a very, very good call. I do fancy Tottenham for goals against...
Is he trying to throw you off again?
Not at all, no. I do fancy Tottenham for goals against West Brom. I may look towards there even. Hull and United, depending on how the United strike force line up, I think maybe that's where my captain will come from. It'll Rooney or Welbeck.
Interesting choices.
So at the moment.
That's true, but I can, the beauty of this game is you can make transfers, Paul.
Tell you'd have to be up early to catch these lads out.
And I could even afford to take a points hit, Paul, couldn't I?
Oh, you could. I suppose for the benefit of people, there must be 100 points in it, is there?
There's about 100 points in it, yeah.
Probably the most you've ever gotten ahead.
And I'm going to enjoy it.
He sure is enjoying it. I'm only, I think, further 100 points.
And for those of you listening, this is what gloating sounds like.
He's sort of Jeremy Clarkson.
Like drinking to me. To
He's Jeremy Clarkson-esque right now. That's how gloating he is. Right.
Yeah, haircut, did you?
I just fell out that way.
That was game week 18. Stephen's Day, Boxing Day, whatever you bloody call it.
Don't miss the deadline.
Don't miss the deadline. What is the deadline? It's still 11:30, is it?
Yeah.
11:30 in the morning. All right.
Go make yourself a turkey sandwich, do your transfers, and I've got to go, lads. See you later.
All right. See you then. Paul, it's been a pleasure as always. Talk to you later.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
See you for New Year.
Roy, come back.